Welcome to the stream today, or welcome to the YouTube video if this is one of the ones from today and you're watching it on YouTube and not the stream. We're going to be watching some more videos, some criminology videos. These are all from, well, I actually can't remember if these are from the Discord or not. Some of them might be. I think one might not be. I don't know. Either way, I take suggestions in my Discord for reaction stuff, criminology or not criminology related. So if you're not in my Discord, you should join and throw some videos in there that you think might be a good watch for us to do, because I appreciate you guys wanting to watch cool stuff together. It makes fun content for me because I love reading about my degree and learning about my degree more and educating about my degree. And you know, even if it has nothing to do with criminology, I love listening to interesting stuff. And you guys clearly like watching it with me. So YouTube, if you don't already know, we stream these. My chat's saying hi to you already did. So you can always come over to my Twitch channel and join for crime times when I have them, or for any time in that matter, because I am a variety streamer and I stream anything, even if my chat pretends it's just Minecraft. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come over here, and obviously everybody watching right now on Twitch is welcome to sub to the YouTube channel in case they end up having to leave at some point today. And want to watch the other ones that we're watching today, because you know, I get them to the channel eventually, even if the second I publicize them, some random guy decides that they're the owner of police footage. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to crash out. Anyway, let's watch the videos. Okay. First video we're going to watch today is how Reddit cracked a 40-year-old cold case police called impossible. It's by Brew. It was put up here about a month ago, so we're going to check it out. We got another one that involves Reddit that we might get to later, involving the Boston bomber, because Reddit was very essential in tracking where the bombers were after they bombed that marathon. But we're going to watch this first, and we might get to that one later today, depending on how long these first three take me. And let's do it, man.
White female bones.
That's a crazy start.
Couldn't get them out of her head. As a genealogy student at Cleveland State University, Christina Skates was sat in the dimly lit library, hunched over stacks of old cemetery records, flipping through pages filled with the dead, when she came across an entry that stood out. White female bones. No name, no description, no past. Just an entry in a burial log, stripped of identity, with a number in place of a name. Woman 82483. She frowned. Something about it didn't sit right.
She frowned.
She was used to coming across records with missing
Can we
details,
turn it up a little bit?
illegible handwriting, or dates that didn't quite match. But this
I'll turn it
wasn't
up for
a
you guys a
mistake.
little bit.
This was someone, a woman who had lived, breathed, and died,
Crime
only to be
Titan
reduced to a
Roulette
number in a forgotten file. She leaned back, exhaled. Maybe it was nothing.
Yes, sorry,
Probably just one of the countless unidentified cases that had slipped through the cracks over the years. But still, she couldn't let it go. She picked up her phone and dialed the cemetery. Maybe they could tell her something. Who woman 82483 was, where she came from, why no one had claimed her. But the answer she got was worse than she expected. Nothing. The cemetery had no information to give her past those three off-putting words on file. Since her burial in the unmarked mass grave, no one had come forward. No investigation had continued. The case had been left to collect dust, just like the records she was holding. And that was supposed to be the end of it. But for Christina Skates, it was only the beginning. Christina shared her findings on Reddit, expressing her frustration over the lack of progress. A call to the cemetery confirmed that no action had been taken since her interment. I have attempted to contact the city's detective, but have not had any response in months. Taking matters into her own hands, she dug deeper, looking through brittle newspaper clippings and grainy microfilm reels, tracing the mystery of woman 82483 back to its inception. 40 years prior, on February 5th, 1975, three teenage boys were hiking through Rocky River Reservation Park in Strongsville, Ohio, until they saw something that stopped them in their tracks. Down by the riverbank, half buried in the damp earth, something pale jut out from the mud. At first, it was just a shape, an odd one. They step closer. The shape doesn't move. They see more fragments, tangled in the roots and debris. It's a skeleton, and it's been here a while. Now you'd think this would be the moment they run straight to the nearest phone, but no. For reasons
I was
unknown,
gonna say,
maybe
I
shock
feel like
or
this is gonna be
teenage
something
logic,
from like the
they don't
50s.
report it right away. Hours pass. Maybe they tell their parents first. Maybe they sit with the knowledge, debating what to do. But eventually, the police are called. At first, officers aren't even sure what they're looking at. Could be an animal skeleton, could be something else. But after uncovering the skull, the answer becomes clear. It was human. And someone, somewhere, knows how it got there. Christina continued making calls, and not just one or two, she was relentless. First stop, the Strongsville Police Department, specifically the detective sergeant. No luck there. Next, she tried the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's office, reaching out to both the records department and administration. Surely someone had something. Nope, still nothing. She even left a voicemail for the Metro Park Rangers, who had initially handled the case back in the 70s. If anyone had first-hand knowledge of how this woman was discovered, it was them. She waited for a callback, but deep down, she had a feeling she'd be waiting a while. Then, she circled back to the cemetery itself. Maybe there was an old caretaker or dusty ledger hiding in some forgotten filing cabinet that could shed light on the burial. But then, finally, a breakthrough. She got her hands on the autopsy report, and it confirmed what she had suspected. There were signs of trauma, violence. This was a murder. Christina discovered that when forensic experts got their hands on the remains, they realized something disturbing. This wasn't a complete skeleton. Some bones were missing.
It's gonna be a cop. I can
was
already
gone
feel it.
entirely, like it had been taken. And that was just the beginning. Dr. Charles Hirsch, the assistant county coroner, took over the examination. After careful analysis, he confirmed that the remains belonged to a young woman somewhere between 17 and 23 years old. She was petite, around 5'1", weighing roughly 100 to 110 pounds. And one more thing, she hadn't been there for decades. She had been murdered just a few months before those boys stumbled across her. Cause of death? Gunshot to the head. A single bullet through the skull. No name, no identification. Just a skeleton with missing pieces and a violent past, buried along the riverbank. Whoever did this made sure she had nothing on her that could tell authorities who she was. No wallet, no jewelry, no clothing that could lead back to a store, no personal belongings. As if someone had gone out of their way to erase her entirely.
Almost
But
like
no
somebody
one
with
just vanishes
experience in
into thin
detective
air.
work.
Someone, somewhere, had to know who she was. Someone knew what happened to her. But as the investigation began and the news of the case spread, one name shot to the forefront. A name that had been making national headlines at the time. Patricia Hearst. Patricia Hearst wasn't just anyone. She was the granddaughter of publishing tycoon William Randolph Hearst, and in February 1974, she had been kidnapped from her apartment in Berkeley, California, by a radical group called the Symbionese Liberation Army. A media circus followed. Everyone was looking for her. But then things got strange. Instead of being a helpless victim, Hearst appeared to have joined her captors. There were reports of her helping rob a bank, and this is where it gets relevant to our story. There had been sightings of her nearby in Cleveland, Ohio. The country was obsessed with the Hearst case. It was all over the news. A missing young woman found in Ohio at just the right time? Investigators had to check it out. And when investigators looked at the skeleton's profile, height, weight, age, it all seemed to line up a little too well. But after obtaining the dental records of Patricia Hearst and comparing them to the skeleton, which had 5 dental fillings, it wasn't her. Patricia Hearst was still out there. This was someone else. And past that one failed theory, the authorities' search for answers didn't last long. Despite what was apparently their best efforts, investigators hit a dead end in identifying the remains found along the Rocky River. No missing person reports seemed to match, and according to them, no one came forward with information.
So they looked into one missing girl and were like, well,
had started,
whatever.
It stopped. A spokesman for the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office admitted they were out of lead.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be a cop. Telling you. I have a feeling. I'm fine with being wrong, but the way that the evidence is cleared up, the way that the case goes cold quickly, screams police officer.
No new evidence.
The way that they did not help her when she was acquiring things.
And no one fighting to find the truth. We're still trying, he said. We've gone about as far as possible with what we have now. And what they had, admittedly, wasn't much. Only 6 teeth remained. The body itself had been left exposed to the elements for months, badly decomposed near the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad tracks. Without more dental records or a missing persons report that matched, there was nothing more they could do. With no leads and no name, the case went cold. And then there was an issue of burial. In fact, based on the news articles that Christina uncovered, most of the coverage on the case at the time was more concerned with the bureaucracy surrounding the burial of the woman's remains rather than actually trying to determine her identity or who was responsible for her death. The question of who she was had already stumped investigators. But now, another debate took center stage. Who was going to pay the $100 burial cost? You'd think that'd be a drop in the bucket for local government, but no. Instead, it turned into a bureaucratic hot potato. Strongsville, where the remains were found, insisted it wasn't their responsibility. Cleveland shrugged it off. Cuyahoga County pointed fingers in both directions. The welfare department refused to take the case, saying they only handled burials for veterans. The city's vital statistics office claimed it was a county matter. The county's veteran affairs office said that since the body was found in Strongsville, it was Strongsville's problem. But when Strongsville officials were asked about a supposed 1965 agreement stating municipalities were responsible for facilitating the burial of people with no money, nobody seemed to know whether it applied to unidentified bodies. Meanwhile, the woman's remains sat in limbo at the coroner's office, and without new information, there was nothing more they could do. In the end, it was decided she would be buried in Potter's Field Highland View Cemetery, the final resting place for those with no names, no history, and no family to claim them. White female bones, woman 824.
Why isn't that?
And that is where she spent the next 40 years, in limbo, waiting for a kind student to find her entry in the dusty archives and change her destiny. Christina updated the Reddit post with her findings and mapped out her next move.
I feel like that just makes sense.
Waiting, probably in vain, for a callback from the Metro Park Rangers, and to get this Jane Doe entered into Name US, the National Missing Persons Database, and reaching out to Berea PD, the first agency originally called to the scene. She also planned to contact the Western Reserve Medical Center, which had examined the skull, and check in with...
Wow, Cook. Also, hi, chat.
The Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office, just in case some long-forgotten record was still gathering dust in their archives. Other Redditors were quick to voice their thoughts and offer assistance where they could, with one commenter saying, "It is really heartbreaking that most of the coverage was not focused on trying to identify her or discover what happened, suicide, murder, etc., but rather on interbureaucratic bickering over who had to foot the bill to bury her. That just makes me sad." And another commenter saying, "Wow, that's an impressive amount of research you did. Do you mind if I cross-post this to Web Sleuths Unidentified Forum?" Christina responded enthusiastically. "Please, just let me know when/if you do. Here you go. I credited you." Her case eventually caught the attention of users on Web Sleuths, a popular true crime forum where amateur investigators and online sleuths gather to analyze cold cases, share findings, and piece together missing details. Christina Skates had been digging deeper while sharing her findings on the Web Sleuths thread. She started by checking Cuyahoga County's list of unidentified remains, the official record of the nameless, but Strongsville Jane Doe wasn't there. According to the system, she didn't exist. She wrote on the platform, "I have contacted about everyone I can so far. I'm new at this, so keep suggestions rolling." That's when a new amateur detective entered the chat. Carl Kopelman, who would soon become a pivotal part of this investigation, wrote on the platform, "Incidentally, I just spoke with the Cuyahoga MedX office about this case yesterday. They had contacted me regarding the 1981 Euclid Bosco Tech John Doe, and while I had her on the phone, I asked about this case. She couldn't find anything in her records about this Jane Doe, and was totally unaware of her existence."
Cop. Has to be a cop. Who else would have access? It has to be somebody involved in the police force in that area, because how else would they have been able to wipe that data?
But why? Why was there seemingly no record of this unidentified victim? A mistake? A cover-up? The answer was chillingly simple. Ange Fisher from the Cuyahoga County MedX office looked in her system and discovered that she was not included with the other UID cases because the word unidentified was misspelled. But they have all the info on this case, and she is going to send what she has to the Name Us and get a case file set up for this case. This entire time, a single spelling mistake had erased her from databases, preventing her case from being linked to missing persons reports. She wasn't just unidentified, she was invisible. For decades, her case had been buried under clerical errors and
somehow that's crazier.
Neglect. But now, with the Strongsville Jane Doe being officially added to Name Us, the national database for missing and unidentified persons, things started moving fast. Next was the matter of how to reconstruct a sketch of the woman's likeness.
How do you fuck up like that? Probably when you're the person doing the records for hundreds and hundreds of cases at a time each week. I imagine stuff starts to blend together. What state is this? Ohio.
which would be difficult seeing as all they
It's
had
like
was
south
a
of
partial
Cleveland.
skeleton. During her research, however, Christina had managed to track down something critical, a photograph of the skull, but it wasn't much. She wrote, "I think we're screwed on facial reconstruction. The skeleton was missing quite a few bones due to scavenging of animals and possibly water current. Only 5 teeth and an unerupted number 16 wisdom tooth were present, post-mortem loss of the others. No mandible." Little did she know that the web sleuth who had discovered the spelling error, Carl Koppelman, just so happened to also be the perfect guy for the job. And if you're ever in need of a perfect lawyer for the job, Morgan & Morgan, this video's sponsor, has you covered. If you're ever seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions. A Morgan & Morgan case in Florida ended in a settlement of $12 million, which is 34 times the
Bro's
highest
got a
insurance offer.
sponsorship
And
from
in
a law
Philadelphia,
firm?
another case went home with 40 times the highest insurance offer at $26 million. And that was only within the last couple of months for victims involved in Life Altern's camera. And thank you, Morgan & Morgan, for sponsoring today's video.
What?
As for Christina, she didn't need a legal team, but she did need Carl Koppelman, a master of his craft. Carl wasn't a
crazy.
detective. He didn't have a badge, an official title, or the authority to
Bro
flash
got a
credentials at
Morgan
crime
&
scene.
Morgan
He wasn't the guy
sponsor.
kicking down doors or grilling suspects under a flickering interrogation room light. But what
That's
he did
impressive,
have
honestly.
was something just as powerful, an obsession, the kind that kept him up at night, clicking through case files, cross-referencing databases,
Hell yeah, King.
and chasing the truth long after most people would have moved on. This wasn't just a hobby for him. He was part of a new breed of investigator, the citizen detective, a growing community of researchers, genealogists, and internet sleuths who weren't content to sit on the sidelines while cold cases collected dust. They didn't need an office at the precinct or a government paycheck. Armed with forensic genealogy, digital archives, and relentless determination, they were
That's
doing
something
what law
even more
enforcement
powerful,
hadn't, tracking
autism.
down the missing, giving names to the nameless,
That's crazy.
and bringing long-forgotten cases back into the
That's
spotlight.
ridiculous, bro.
So when Carl stumbled across Christina's post, something about woman 82483 stuck with him. Maybe it was the way
Guys,
her
people
case
can
had
be
been
obsessive
swallowed
about
whole by
things
red
and
tape,
not
tangled
have
in
autism,
bureaucratic
just so we're
nonsense, until it faded into obscurity. Or maybe it was the more unsettling reality that no one had
Even if
ever
it's
come forward
likely.
looking for her.
Okay.
No missing persons report that matched.
Good joke,
no
though,
family
WJ.
desperate for answers. It was as if she had simply vanished from the world, unnoticed and unclaimed. And that didn't sit right with him. Carl had cracked cases before.
What
He
are these
knew what it was
pictures,
like
bro?
to chase a lead down an endless rabbit hole, to spend hours
Yeah,
staring
this
at
is me
grainy
looking at
photographs
faces.
and handwritten reports, searching for the one overlooked detail.
Gotta find that
change
Jane Doe.
everything. He had reunited families, put names to faces of the lost, and seen firsthand how a single piece of information could bring closure to mysteries left unsolved for decades. Woman 82483 deserved that chance. Carl Koppelman had already helped reconstruct the faces of several unidentified victims, one of the most haunting cases being a nameless girl everyone knew as Walker County Jane Doe. Walker County Jane Doe had been murdered, and for over 40 years, her killer had gone unpunished. It was November 1st, 1980, a quiet, uneventful morning in Huntsville, Texas.
Hope we're
The kind of
segueing.
morning where nothing seems out of place. But on the
In
side
Texas?
of Interstate 45, something was. A driver passing through spotted her first. A young girl, face down in a ditch, motionless. Upon closer inspection, she had been beaten, strangled, and discarded like she was nothing. Whoever had done this to her hadn't even tried to hide her. No shallow grave, no effort to cover their tracks. Just left there as if she was meant to be found. And yet for decades,
Serial
no one
killer
could figure out who she
or-
was.
or
She
passion.
became Walker County Jane Doe, another nameless girl in the morgue, another cold case gathering dust in police files. She was young, no older than 16. Too young for this. She wore a yellow long-sleeve
Truck driver
shirt
may be
with a horse
possible.
design, a pair of
Could be like
flared
the Green
jeans,
River Killer.
and high-heeled sandals. Not the kind of clothing you'd expect from someone living on the streets for long. She had no purse, no wallet, no ID.
Green River was
But there
up
was
here
one
near
chilling
Seattle, though,
detail
not
that made
Texas,
this
obviously.
case different. The night before she was found, she had been seen alive. Witnesses saw her at a truck stop diner near Huntsville.
Look at you, man.
She wasn't just some drifter passing through, though. She had a purpose. She walked inside and asked for directions to the local county jail. Why? She said she was looking for someone, but she never said who. When employees pressed her for more details, she just brushed them off. "I'll be fine," she told them, and then she left. Hours later, she was dead. For years, police tried to identify her. They followed leads. They checked missing persons
You
reports.
watched it already.
Nothing.
You're
No
not slick.
family stepped forward. No friends came looking. She had vanished from somewhere, but no one seemed to know where that was. By 2019, her case had faded into obscurity. Advances in forensic science had helped solve other cases, But Walker County Jane Doe was still just that, a Jane Doe. And that's when Carl Koppelman entered the picture. In 2019, he took on
Carl,
Walker
hit
County
that
Jane
shit.
Doe's
Look at
case.
that pose,
Using
bro.
post-mortem photos, forensic data, and old reconstructions, he worked meticulously to recreate her
death?
likeness,
Yeah, probably.
not just as a forensic tool.
Especially
he
because
was
of the
bringing
truck
her
stop
back to
witness.
life. His sketch was shared across the internet, web sleuths, Reddit, cold case forums, and people saw her. They talked about her. She was no longer forgotten. Then, in 2020, investigators decided to take
Bro, I
one
love
last
his-
shot.
when his character
They
hits
turned
this
to
fucking
forensic genealogy,
Eureka
the
pose.
game changer in modern
Eureka.
cold cases. Using a DNA sample taken from Walker County Jane Doe, they uploaded her profile to GED Match, a public database where people upload their raw DNA data, usually from consumer testing kits like 23andMe or Ancestry DNA, to find relatives and
They
trace their
don't
family
technically
history.
know they're doing that, by the way.
However,
That's just
unlike
within the
commercial
legal
DNA
agreement.
sites that keep their data locked for privacy reasons,
No, they
GED Match is open source.
They do not
That
do
means
that.
law
Don't listen to
enforcement
that.
can use it too, and they have, big time. When police have an unknown suspect's DNA,
It's like how Google is private until they get a court subpoena to give your phone data away. Then they're not. It's like if the cops are like, hey, Ancestry.com, we need to link this guy to a killer because his DNA is a partial match. They're going to be like, okay. Yeah, you can't just type in like, you can't just look it up, but like, it doesn't take a whole lot of legal premise for them to just be like, okay.
say
Fine.
from a cold case, they
It's for
can
good
create
reason,
a
I guess.
profile and upload it to GED Match. If the suspect's DNA has any distant relatives in the database, the system finds those genetic connections. Investigators then use good old-fashioned genealogy techniques, family trees, historical records, birth certificates to narrow down possible suspects. That's exactly how the Golden State Killer was caught in 2018. His DNA sat in evidence for decades, but once it was uploaded to GED Match, investigators
was a
found
huge
distant
deal.
cousins. From there, it was just a matter of tracing
Exactly
family
what I just
lines,
said. Yeah.
eliminating suspects, and boom, Joseph D'Angelo was
Guess
in
who he
cuffs.
was?
In the next
A
case of the
cop.
Walker County Jane Doe, once her DNA was
That's a different case. He's using that as an example. That has nothing to do with this Jane Doe or the one that we're listening about. He's just using the Golden State Killer's demise as an example because not the Ancestry.com, the GED Match, the open source stuff like that is a big deal because basically somebody related to him uploaded their data to that website or an adjacent website that gives that website data. And when the police because they had some DNA but no match because it was they can't match DNA to somebody unless they have a record. Or they have something like this where their DNA is within some sort of ancestry website that's available. So somebody related to him put their info on that website, and then their DNA, the police got a ding on the DNA evidence they had on him. So when they finally looked back into it, they linked it back to him, and that's how he got caught. Only a couple of years ago, when he was like prolific in the I want to say 70s. I can't remember the Golden State Killer's like active era, but still 30, 40 years of being totally like not caught because he was a cop, by the way. He was a cop. He was just killing people and using his access to police records and evidence as a way to suppress his apprehension. You'll be shocked to hear. So anyway, I will be so shocked if we go back to this one and this is also a cop. This one might be a trucker though. But I'm still convinced that the main story we're learning about is gonna be a cop.
was
We'll see
uploaded
what
to
happens.
GED Match, genealogists worked backwards, tracing her family tree using her DNA, following the fragments of history that led to her existence. And in November 2021,
Genealogy is
after
fascinating,
41
by the way.
years, they found her. Her name was Sherry Ann Jarvis. She had been just 14 years old, even
Damn,
younger
dude.
than originally believed. a runaway from Minnesota,
Damn.
searching for something better, only to meet the worst possible fate. With Carl's help, authorities ultimately identified her, and Walker County Jane Doe finally had a name. But not every case finds resolution so easily. Strongsville Jane Doe was still waiting, but thanks to Carl Koppelman, the case took an interesting turn. Carl did what he did best. He analyzed the skull's structure, studied past reconstructions, and carefully crafted a new sketch of what Strongsville Jane Doe might have looked like. Now, the long-lost woman had a face. It was a small step, but an important one, giving a face to a name that had been missing for decades. That's when Carl Koppelman came across something new, a fresh listing for a missing woman from Akron, Ohio, dating back to 1974. This newly listed missing woman from late 1974 looks like a very good possible Strongsville Jane. Linda Pagano. Age is right, location is good, time frame is good. Her listed height is a little short. Another member on the platform responded saying, "Excellent find, Carl. Should this turn out to be her, I will have to say that your reconstruction of the missing part of the skull is spot on." Carl then reached out to authorities to share this promising lead. Just talked to Ange Fisher of the Cuyahoga MedX office. Looks like they are already onto this possible match and are working on getting dental x-rays of her. She says that Linda had extensive dental work, so that is a big plus. All 5 remaining teeth had fillings. Akron police had reached out to Cuyahoga County. Dental records were the first step. Before going through the long, expensive process of DNA testing, authorities wanted to see if there were any obvious mismatches. There weren't. That only meant one thing. It was time to exhume the body. Now, that sounds simple. Dig up the remains, take a sample, run the test, except it wasn't that easy. See, Strongsville Jane Doe had been buried in the Potter's Field Cemetery for the unclaimed, the unknown, and the forgotten. No headstones, no grave markers, just a field of unmarked graves. And somewhere beneath it, she had been waiting for 44 years. Law enforcement couldn't just start digging up dead bodies at random. They needed precision. That's where the University of Akron stepped in. Using magnetic surveying, researchers mapped the cemetery, pinpointing the likely location of the body. Even then, it took multiple attempts. When they finally got the right set of remains, bone samples were taken for DNA analysis. At the same time, family of Linda Pagano, the potential match, provided mouth swabs to compare their mitochondrial DNA. The samples were sent to the University of North Texas, one of the leading forensic DNA labs in the country. Then, the waiting began. Months passed. Lab techs ran the tests, double-checking results, and made sure there was no room for doubt. Then, on June 29, 2018, 44 years after disappearance, the confirmation finally came through. Woman 82483 was Linda Pagano. Just got word from Linda Pagano's sister that Strongsville Jane Doe is in fact Linda Pagano. Wow. Although the authorities were on to the possible match before I called it in, I am flagging the thread as a WS match because, if not for the amazing sleuthing work by Christina Skates, this case would still be buried deep in the police and coroner's office archives. It was only because Christina decided to investigate a Jane Doe grave that was not listed anywhere, the case was listed in Name Us, and consequently was noticed by Akron PD. Congratulations, Christina, and great work. But who was this Linda Pagano, and was her killer still out there? August 31st, 1974. It should have been just any other summer night. The kind of night where the air still holds onto the warmth of the day, where teenagers pile into their cars with the radio turned up too loud, chasing one last bit of freedom before fall sets in. And for Linda, that's exactly how the night started. Linda was 17, smart, responsible, not the type to just up and vanish. She had a steady job at A&W, a sleek new Mustang, and a future she was building one careful step at a time.
Have you been?
She went to attend a concert with her boyfriend that night, and she was never seen again. At least, that was the official story. And for a long time, that's all there was. No follow-up investigation, no police search, no evidence collection, just a convenient, sweeping assumption. Linda had run away, and in 1974, that was enough. Case closed. Never mind that Linda wasn't the type to run. Never mind that she left behind her brand new Mustang, her job, her entire life. Never mind that she had no history of running away, or any reason to vanish into thin air. None of that mattered, because the only person who ever claimed to see her leave was her stepfather, and apparently his word was enough. Linda had returned home from the concert in the early morning hours, stepping into the small Akron, Ohio apartment she shared with her stepfather, Byron Claflin. And that's where things took a dark turn. Now, Byron wasn't exactly known for his patience. He had a reputation for being hot-tempered,
Well, I
prone
can't
to
say this is
outbursts, the kind of
much
man
of a
who could
twist
turn a minor
or
disagreement
unexpected
into a
either.
full-blown shouting match. That night, he claimed they argued. He claimed that Linda had come home too late. He claimed he was fed up. And so, according to him, and he's the only one who can tell this part of the story, he did something unthinkable. He kicked her out. Just like that. No warning, no second chances. A teenage girl kicked out onto the streets in the middle of the night with nowhere to go. He didn't give her time to pack a bag. She didn't take extra clothes, money, or anything useful. And the strangest part? She left behind her Mustang, the car she loved, the car that represented her freedom. And then, nothing.
Doesn't
No one
seem
saw
likely,
Linda
no.
leave. No one reported running into her on the street. No friends got a call from her. No one spotted her trying to hitch a ride. It was as if she had walked out that door and simply ceased to exist. The police, at first, leaned on the usual
think she walked out.
explanations. Maybe she ran away. Maybe she was lying low. Maybe she'd show up in a few days, embarrassed about the whole ordeal. But those explanations didn't sit right. Linda wasn't the kind of girl who just disappeared. The rest of Linda's family didn't buy it. Not for a second. But it didn't matter what they believed. The police had already made up their minds. And once a case got labeled as a runaway, it was as good as dead. No search teams, no press conferences, no urgency. Just a name added to a list and a file cabinet door slammed shut. So, her family did what law enforcement wouldn't. They made their own missing person flyers and plastered them everywhere. They went door to door, asking questions no one else was asking. They reached out to anyone who might have seen something, anything. And for months, nothing. No leads, no sightings, just a seemingly endless silence. Then, February 1975, a break. That winter, a news report surfaced. An unidentified body had been found in Strongsville, Ohio, about 30 miles from where Linda had last been seen. The remains belonged to a young woman.
Right.
No name, no ID, skeletonized, unclaimed, and the details were vague, but it was enough to catch the attention of Mike Pagano, Linda's older brother. He called the police. He told them about his sister, her name, her height, how long she'd been missing.
God.
The distance between Akron and
they
Strongsville
ignored
wasn't
him?
exactly
No
cross country.
shot.
It was reasonable, likely even, that this could be Linda. And the response? Flat out dismissal. According to Mike, the woman on the other end of the line just said that the unidentified woman was a little older and probably a little taller. Didn't ask follow-up questions. Didn't even
Classic.
compare dental records.
Classic.
Just a casual, indifferent, nope, not your
Such-
sister.
such a
and that was
classic.
it. Linda Pagano was gone. And for decades, no one knew where or why. The bones that Mike suspected to be his sister's remained unidentified, labeled as Woman 82483, and Linda's case would remain in limbo. And her family? They were left chasing her ghost,
That's
searching for a girl
preposterous,
who had
bro.
already been found, just apparently not by the right people. But without law enforcement on their side, what more could they do? The years passed, people moved on, and Linda's story faded into the background, becoming just another missing person case
Top moment of all
authorities
time,
had
really.
chosen to forget. 44 years later, when the DNA of the bones found in Strongsville came back as a match, for Linda's family, the revelation was both closure and confirmation of what they had suspected all along. Mike Pagano, her older brother, had tried to get authorities to compare records decades earlier, only to be dismissed. If they had listened, perhaps the family wouldn't have spent years searching for answers that they could have had from the start. Upon hearing they had finally found her remains, Mike says, "I thought I was in a dream. I thought I'd never hear this. I thought this day would never come. I thought I would die wondering." The solving
Wow,
of the
that's gotta
mystery
be
came too late
just-
for Linda's mother, who had spent much of her life hoping for a resolution.
That's gotta
And
be,
she
like,
sadly passed away in
just
2012
phenomenally
without knowing
closing.
what happened to her daughter. With the identification confirmed,
closure on
Linda
that's
was
gotta be
finally laid to rest under
wild.
her own name. In September 2018, more than 4 decades after she was murdered, her family held a memorial service in her honor. Her remains were buried at Holy Cross Cemetery
That's
in
awesome,
Akron,
dude.
Ohio, the city where she had lived, the place where she should have grown old. It wasn't the homecoming her loved ones had hoped for, but it was something. A proper burial, a headstone bearing her real name, a chance for her family to say goodbye, even if it came far too late. But the question that lingers,
Holy
the
shit,
one
bro,
that's been
that's gotta
hanging over this
feel
case for
so
decades,
good
is who killed
as
Linda
the
Pagano.
family, or
And
even as the-
here's where things get frustrating.
Even as the woman who like picked up on this, dude, like that's got to be crazy satisfying. Like the dopamine release from like helping solve such an unidentified murder, and then giving the family closure has got to be like so elating. I cannot.
If investigators
lie.
had done their jobs back in 1975, if they had taken Mike Pagano's calls
Like, I just
seriously,
wish I
compared
could be a
records, and
detective without
identified
being a
Linda's
police
remains
officer,
when they
you know
were
what I
first
mean? Like, I
discovered,
just wish I
maybe,
could help with that sort of
just
stuff.
maybe, there could have been a proper investigation. Maybe there would have been enough time to figure out who was responsible. Christina Skates herself says,
I wish I could just be
only
like
one thing
Castle
I can
and
think
chill.
about right now, and it's how fast we solve this
Except
case in comparison.
instead of being a writer, I'm a Twitch streamer. I just go investigate crime scenes on my free time. Maybe, you never know.
To when it was discovered. Instead, decades passed, evidence was lost, witnesses got older, memories faded, and the one person who was always at the center of suspicion died before anyone could ask him a single question. Byron Claflin, Linda's stepfather, was the last person to see her alive. His story was sketchy from the start and sounds like a tough sell. The stepfather theory is the most logical one, but still a theory nevertheless. Claflin had a history of being volatile, and throwing a teenage girl out of the house, alone and defenseless, was already a reckless move at best. As for some other theories, some have speculated that maybe she did leave the apartment and was picked up by the wrong person. Maybe she was abducted. Maybe she was killed by a stranger. But there's no evidence to support that. Not after all these years. And now, we'll probably never get the full truth. Claflin died in 1990. If Linda had been identified earlier, he could have been questioned, but that chance is long gone. The best we can hope for now is that someone, somewhere, knows something. A friend, a relative, anyone who might be able to shed light on what really happened that night in 1974. Because, officially, this case remains unsolved. And unless something new comes to light, it might stay that way forever. At the end of the day, forgotten cases only stay forgotten if no one keeps asking questions. Names matter, identities matter, and sometimes the right person looking in the right place can change everything. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel, as it really helps us to keep bringing more stories to you. Like this.
Very cool. Ah. What the fuck? How the government tricked 2 YouTubers into killing a man in public. I have to watch that at some point. That's a title. Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that there's no full closure, but you know what is it's beautiful that their remains were identified and they were able to get put to rest where they should be, near their family. Their family gets to have that closure they never got, even if it's not the full closure of like how or who did it. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that her brother can stop wondering if she's even out there or where she even is or how far she even got, like, there's got to be an amount of elation to that, even if it's not the full one. That's, you know, and unfortunately, there's a lot of cases like that. There's a lot of cold cases, especially in the 70s, 60s, 70s. There's a lot of unidentified, just because technology isn't the same, or it wasn't. You know, we've talked about the reduction of crime rates since the 50s. And it's not because the police are more competent. They're not. It's because of technology being more competent. The people who are inventing and creating and developing investigative technologies are the reasons crime is lowering and always has every year. Don't listen to the news. They're full of shit and they're just fear-mongering for attention. Crime rates have gone down, especially deadly ones, since 1950, and every year it's gone down, even by a little bit. And it's because of technological advances, being better at solving crimes and basically deterring people from even doing them, let alone getting away with them. So, but that doesn't, you know, it's a difficult process to go look at cold cases. It takes a lot of time, and the problem is especially back then, they didn't know what to preserve and what to not, because not the same technological advances were a part of investigative processes like they are now. So, forensic experts, detectives, etc., know better on like what to look for, what to grab onto, what to preserve. Back then, not so much. Some things, not everything. So while a crime like that happening today might have been easier or solvable, it was much less solvable back then because they can't. The thing is like a case going cold now might come to light because somebody in 40 years, for example, with this case, can go back and find footage because we just have fucking footage everywhere. Security cameras, iPhones, TikTok videos, everywhere. People are filming constantly. Back then, not the case. So the technological advances of society and criminal investigations just weren't as abundant. So like it's not as easy for somebody to go back 40 years now into the 60s, into the 70s, 80s. Obviously that's not just 40, whatever. You know what I mean? We can't go back past where the internet and and footage, cameras, etc. developed into normal day and investigative life to look back at these cases because there's just not as much to go off of. And that's what makes it so much harder for people to do this sort of stuff nowadays, is like there's just evidence everywhere. Do I think AI could be used to go through footage? It already does. AI is useful in a lot of ways and has been used for years, guys. Like we get this overall general hate towards AI right now because of generative AI.
Days ago and it has already consumed my soul.
And it's very understandable because generative AI is very dangerous and has been and will be. AI has been used for years and it's been developed for years. Facial recognition softwares, DNA recognition softwares, like fingerprint recognition, like crime scene, like when they put a DNA into the criminal record system to try to find a match, that's AI. That's not a person going like next picture, that's not a match, next picture, that's not a match, next picture, that's not a match. That is them plugging information into their AI system and the AI going, I will look through our thousands and thousands of people in the criminal record system and see if there's a match. Like, it is being used. So my answer is yes, but also like it's already being done. The issue is people see the way generative AI is and the maliciousness that it feeds into and the absolute laziness and complacency that it encourages people to live off of, which is a terrible thing, by the way. There's a newer article that came out. I can't remember what team it was, that people who frequently use ChatGPT to ask and solve their problems had significantly less critical thinking skills and brain activity daily. This is not a joke, by the way. MIT, thank you. Yep, here we go. MIT Media Lab. Your brain on ChatGPT. Accumulation of cognitive debt when using an AI assistant for essay writing tasks. We'll just read the abstract because we can go through the whole thing if you guys want, but I can give you the abstract is basically the Spark Notes, and that's what's good for these sorts of things. This study explores the neural and behavioral consequences of LLM-assisted essay writing. Participants were divided into 3 groups: LLM, search engine, and brain only, no tools. Each completed 3 sessions under the same condition. In a 4th session, LLM users were reassigned to brain only group, LLM to brain. So these guys used an AI, and then after the third essay, the fourth essay, they were told to not use it. Brain-only users were reassigned to LLM conditioning. So the ones who are using nothing then got to use AI, right? 54 participants took part in a sessions 1 through 3, 18 completing session 4. Used electroencephalography. Wow. An EEG. I didn't know that's how you say that. Or whatever. It's the brainwave detector. It's how they detect cognitive behavior, just for people who are needing to know. It says cognitive load during essay writing and analyze essays during NLPs, as well as scoring essays with the help from human teachers and an AI judge, right? Across groups, blah, blah, blah. The EEG revealed significant differences in brain connectivity. Brain-only participants exhibited the strongest, most distributed networks. Search engine users showed moderate engagement, and LLM users displayed the weakest connectivity. Cognitive activity scaled down in relation to external tools. In session 4, LLM to brain participants showed reduced alpha and beta connectivity, indicating under engagement. So literally the reliance on this thing to do their work, the second they're unable, after using it so many times, after 3 times, they used it for 3 essays, and on the 4th one, after 3 times using it, it immediately gave them less brain activity. I mean, that is like insanely low. That is a small amount of using it. What else is there to say, man? If you are in education right now, do not use this shit. You will go and you will be dumb. You will literally rot your brain out. This study is literally saying within minimal use of this, you will become more dumb. Literally, your brain activity will be underperformance. I mean, literally, LLM 2 brain participants showed reduced alpha and beta connectivity, indicating under engagement. Literally, your brain is doing significantly less than what it's expected to in those moments on average. I mean, that is crazy for such a little amount of usage of it. Brain 2 LLM users exhibited higher memory recall and activation of occipital, parietal, and prefrontal areas, similar to search engine users. So while they didn't have as much activity within their brain, they showed near the same as the people who use search engines for research and essay purposes, right? So while using the web to help with essay writing might lower activity, it isn't as bad as just being like, write this for me. Self-reported ownership of essays was the lowest in the LLM group and the highest in the brain-only group. Shocker. LLM users also struggle to accurately quote their own work. LLMs offer immediate convenience. Our findings highlight potential cognitive costs. Over 4 months, LLM users consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. Basically, being alive. These results raise concerns about long-term educational implications of LLM reliance and underscore the need for deeper inquiry into AI's role in learning. Like, yeah, it's convenient, but you're literally thinking less, talking worse, and behaving worse. This study is literally saying reliance on AI and generative AI and ChatGPT, etc., is making you goopy. That's 4 months of using it. That is 4 months of using it. That is not very long. It is actually like insane how much this specific study is like actually you're getting smooth brain. Like, this is probably one of the most egregious, like, I can't think of something worse. I can't think of something worse that, like, I mean, dude, imagine you go to school and your professor used ChatGPT to get his master's in education. What are you teaching me, bro? What do you even know? What are you even know? What are you even recalling? Yeah, I mean, this doesn't even go into the environmental hazards that using and reliantly accessing this sort of stuff does. Like, the environmental aspect of this stuff is a different can of worms. Like, this is just its effect on you as a person cognitively. It is literally shutting your brain down. That is quite literally what this abstract is saying. Convenience ruins humanistics. It does. Like, this is such a philosophical, like, soapbox. Convenience will always kill. Always. You don't know how to cook? Why don't you know how to cook? Oh, well, I just order food. I just go get some. I just go get some fast food. I just make something do it for me. And now I don't know how to feed myself. Literally. I cannot feed myself because I don't know how. Because I have conveniently fed myself from someone else's efforts for so long that I no longer have the ability to think critically on how to do so. That is one example. And now it's bleeding into education. I mean, it's saying in this abstract, the people using it for this weren't even able to properly quote what they reported on because they didn't do anything. They just like asked something to do it. And even if they like read it over, whatever, it's still not your effort. This shit is dangerous. Like, I hope to God nobody in this chat or watching this video, if I include this at the end of the one we just watched, is using this shit frequently. Like, avoid this as much as possible. I am telling you, in 20 years, there is going to be a significant gap in cognitive ability in people. And it will be linked to this. There will be a link between AI usage and frequent AI usage and the cognitive capabilities of people who are constantly relying on ChatGPT to tell them things and solve their problems and create their work and convenience their life will be significantly worse off and more irritable, more outrageous. Like, they will be inside rotted. Like, it is insane. It's terrifying. This is a terrifying thing. Society will crumble. Unfortunately not. We're really good at surviving despite our stupidity. I mean,
People who cheat with AI are scum. People are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for you to get this education, and you can't even be asked to do the work? Literally fuck you. There are thousands of people who would kill to have the privilege to get a higher education.
Yeah, I mean, you're really
and
selling
you're
yourself
wasting
out.
everyone's
So
time
short.
and money
Like,
being lazy and entitled. Do the fucking work yourself.
there are uses for things like AI and technology that make life easier for a reason that makes sense. Stuff like we mentioned to start this tirade, where the criminal record system has an AI algorithm that will go through all of the data to find a matching fingerprint, to find a matching DNA hair strand, etc. That way, random intern 25 doesn't have to sort through thousands and thousands of DNA helixes to find a match. That takes meticulous brain power, and somebody's not going to be on top of that for thousands of files, right? It's really cool that we can use that sort of technology to pinpoint matches and then verify those matches through our own needs or our own abilities, right? Because it being like, here's 10 things that might be a match, and you finding the match isn't nearly as bad as you being like, literally solve this crime for me, find the person who did it, and just tell me who it is. And then you just go and arrest them, and you're like, well, ChatGPT said you killed him, so I'm just happy I don't have to think about it.
I wonder if there's a connection between how quickly people started using AI and the fact that long COVID causes cognitive issues like brain fog, trouble focusing, and decreased vocabulary. Like, would people who already feel stupid without knowing why be more attracted to the convenience of AI, and could the cognitive issues from long COVID and from using AI be causing a doom spiral? I'm rambling now, Sri.
I don't think you're off. I just don't think that's the whole picture. It's definitely a contributive factor. Like, it no doubt is like long COVID probably causing people's cognitive abilities to be worse, and they're seeking like sanctuary or assistance. But that's, I mean, that is one person. I'm sure there's plenty of people. I mean, dude, I went 23 years, 24, 23, 25 years. I can't remember how long anymore. Undiagnosed with ADHD and anxiety and probably autism, right? I went most of my life so far without medicine or any need or knowledge of how to cope with these things. And I went my entire time in the education system thinking I was a fucking idiot. I had no idea. I thought I was just stupid. I didn't know how people juggled so many things while trying to study, while trying to be like a straight A student. It made no sense to me. I just thought I was an idiot, and I thought I couldn't do it. I thought I was like, I couldn't keep up. I felt like I had to sit there for hours to study one class, and I would still do bad. And not until after I graduated college, which due to the amount of free time college gives you, I was able to put in that work. It wasn't until after my education was done did I have my beautiful wife tell me I should probably look into getting like tested, because I was showing signs of neurodivergency, because my wife is a beautifully smart person. Like, that was us? No, it was not. You guys did not do that. Do not steal credit from my wife. Do not. You're going to piss me off. You guys did not say anything. Not until after. I can imagine being in the situation that I was and basically going into the next room and there being like the solve my problem machine right there. That's the dangers. I mean, and that's the dangers of so many things. That's the elation of drug use. That's the convenience of food ordering. That's the convenience of getting your coffee delivered to your fucking house. You know, there's streamers that just order coffee every day. They do it. Why would you do that? Because convenience kills humanistic capability. Kills it. It literally kills your ability to take care of yourself.
Group projects,
intentionally,
college level, have been a nightmare the past few years.
Intentionally.
Without fail, one member has nearly cost us a grade because they refuse to do the work without AI.
And even if you don't want to brew coffee, I hope I'm making some of you feel bad about this, by the way, because this is the worst money sink of Gen Z's like life right now, by the way, is ordering things, food service ordering, like food delivery specifically is the problem. All right. Like, I'm going to open my phone really quick. This is going to be a great example. I obviously can't show you this because I don't want to dox myself. I'm going to open Uber Eats. I'm going to find a coffee shop. I'm going to see how much it is to deliver one coffee to myself. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I'm going to do a Starbucks just because that's the easiest one that everybody recognizes, and their shit's overpriced and shit. And that's probably what a lot of people are buying. I'm going to go with a vanilla sweet cream cold brew. This is something I used to drink a couple of years ago when we would go. I always pass on Starbucks whenever I'm offered. Their process makes my skin crawl. Their house blend is just them buying a bunch of beans from farmers around the world and throwing it in one big bin and blending it all up into dust and calling it a house blend, by the way. They don't actually like do anything special with their coffee. They just like throw it in a vat and blend it all up and go, we made coffee. They're really fucking shit at it. You should stop drinking there, on top of all of the issues with like the genocide in Palestine, etc. Like, just the fact that they're a shitty coffee company in general, and all the boycott stuff. Like, they're just terrible at their thing in general. Anyway, I'm going to get just this regular thing as is. I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm going to get a large sweet cream cold brew. This is something I used to get. It's saying add to cart $6.55, right? Going to checkout. I'm not going to add. Jesus. $13.82. That's without tip, by the way. That's before tip. That's before tip. Almost $14 for a $7 coffee drink that was already $7, by the way. I'm hitting next because my options to tip are $3, $4, $5, and $6. A 20% tip would be a little under $3. 1.3 times 2, 2.6. You go $3. That's $17. $17 for a single cup of coffee once. There are people out there doing it daily, by the way. I'm taking a quick screenshot of the subtotal just so people don't think I'm fucking lying, but I'm cropping out my details, obviously. Look at this shit. I'm dead serious. $14 plus that $3 tip. That would have costed me $17. Isn't that insane? I could have gone and gotten it. Not that I would, for reasons I've already stated, don't like them. That's one shitty ass coffee. One. Medium, a large. It's not exactly better if you get smaller, by the way. Do you see what I'm saying? You could inconvenience yourself, drive and get it, and spend 10 fucking less dollars. You pay for 2.5 coffees by getting one sent to you. It's insane. That's not even going into if I pull up, guys, I spend like, I'm going to look at the current price that I spend for this coffee. I get Colombian coffee from a Walmart near here. Currently, this is great. This is an awesome example.
Chatters, get yourselves some banger instant coffee. I love UCC. Shit will
Yes.
last a good few months.
Honestly,
even with more than one cup a day.
you could be
And
as
it's
lazy
so
as
much
possible and
cheaper
get
than a daily iced coffee.
Get instant coffee and a hot water kettle, like a hot water boiler. Easy. Guys, this canister of coffee, 23-ounce canister, is also $13. $13.32. It's actually cheaper than if I were to order one coffee to myself. So, like, and you know what? I'm a lazy piece of shit, and I got one of the nicest, fastest coffee makers I can have. I'm going to put you on a brand that
I spent over
my
$200
in-laws
on an
put me
amazing
on.
coffee machine that brewed drip and cappuccino, and it was the best decision I've ever made. Every once in a while I DoorDash or Uber food to my work because we don't have the option to leave the property after we clock in until our 8 hours shift is over, and I always
And that's fine,
feel
bro.
so guilty.
That's like fine if there's parameters, etc. It's when you're doing it for no fucking reason. That's the issues that sort of come to fruition that I have. Where the fuck? Let me see. Don't dox myself. Okay.
A low-cost way to brew low-cost espresso is to buy a mocha pot. Then just Google how to make your favorite Starbucks drink and learn how to make it at home.
Okay. I'm putting you on something really good. This brand, Bun, great coffee maker. Because it does a water. Now, $100 is a decent price. That's a little expensive, but it is the fastest coffee maker I've ever seen. Literally, like, you give it has a water reserve, so when you pour water in, it knows the exact amount to pour out. And it's already hot. It keeps the water inside of it hot. So when you pour water in the second time for how much you want to drink, it pours out that amount of already heated up coffee into your grounds, and it's like within 2 minutes, your entire carafe of coffee is heated and ready and fresh and actually good. So if your whole thing is it takes too long to make coffee, you are literally wrong. You will spend more money and more time waiting on a fucking shitty Starbucks drink. One of the cheaper ones, by the way. One of the cheaper ones. We didn't even talk about that. I got a cheaper option because that's the one I used to get a long time ago. It is almost always worth putting in the effort. And you know what, guys? This isn't black and white. I get it. Who is a bum except, like, who's not a bum? I am. I certainly am. Like, it is astounding how much money it costs you to do that stuff. I'm not even getting into so many other things like the monthly costs of using AI generative stuff, the costs of using Uber for everything instead of just getting a license and saving up for a car. I understand it might be hard nowadays, but if you're using $20-something every day to Uber there and back to something like work, etc., what do you think? $10 plus. What do you think 20 bucks plus 365 is? $6,000 more than $6,000. That's a pretty awesome down payment on a car. That's a pretty good down payment on a car. You could just not spend 20 bucks a day for a year, and there's your down payment.
If you guys can't afford these kinds of things, look into what a French press is.
French
Super
presses
cheap.
are great.
Smallest one I've seen is $10. My mom has one where she dumps coffee grounds and water into the same container, then presses down the grounds, and the coffee produced within the cylinder is like 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah, that's a French press. Some of the best coffee makers that are cheap and fast would be a French press. And just get an electric kettle, guys. Like, literally in college, I had a French press and an electric kettle. I just put water in the kettle, boiled it. Once it boiled, I poured it into my coffee grounds and I let it steep, and then you press it down. Done. It took like maybe 5 minutes. I could just let it do that while I got ready for my classes in college. It's actually disgustingly easy. Like, electric kettles, 20, 30 bucks maybe. Same with a French press. French press doesn't even have anything to it. It's just it's just pneumatic. Like, it's literally just the force you push it down. It's actually like insanely affordable. Crazy rant, but I get really mad thinking about people who do this job who are also like sitting there ordering coffee, spending 20 bucks because they don't know how to make coffee. This is what I'm saying though. This is like circling back to this, like, this abstract, this study. Under engagement, like this inability to like actually critically think. Like, guys, I have a fucking Keurig over there that I bought for, like, I actually might make one since this is topical and I'm getting a little parched. I need a little zip. I've got a little Keurig up here for when I'm feeling lazy and don't want to make a whole pot of coffee and just want one. I can go over there. I can go to the bathroom because I got to pee and I'm gonna. Fill up my coffee mug with water, pour it into the Keurig, put a pot in, close it, hit the button, come back over here, wait 3 minutes, and it's fucking ready. I doubt those pots costed me as much as a fucking $13 Starbucks delivery. It's insane, bro. It disgusts me.
Hi, freaks, Sneeg, fart, I
and it's
guess.
a terrible habit, man. Like, it's terrible.
Can you make me one too?
Yeah, Chris, tap in. Come on in, bud. Like, short-term satisfaction is such an insidious parasite, man. Like, there are so many examples I could go through of just like people taking the convenience and not realizing how broken it's making their brain. I mean, the coffee delivery stuff, that's one microcosm of the entire issue of food delivery in general. You know what I mean? I've always been tempted, and I really want to try to like start doing a stream a week or 2 weeks, whatever, where I do like meal prep, because the one thing I struggle with most with this job is finding something for lunch or deciding a good thing for dinner with Hannah if I'm busy that night. So I thought it would be fun to do a stream where we do like meal prep stuff. But you know what? That gets rid of my laziness and makes it productive. You know what I mean? It's fascinating, man. This shit's scary. This shit's scary, dude. This is making goopy brain. This is just rapidly making people's brains smoother and smoother. I don't know how else to say it. What else is there to say? Well, this was a good video. We kind of went way. I think I might just throw this on the end of the YouTube video because it's very relevant. In a lot of ways, but like, we got like way out there, but I'll put it in because it'll be interesting. I just hope people hear what I'm saying. I just want to know. I just want people to hear what I'm saying. By the way,
using your brain may extend your lifespan. Just saying.
I hate that has to be a thing to say.
Teacher. She's 88, and she still can solve almost anything in calculus. Also, it can help reduce the risk of developing dementia.
There are going to be increasing rates of dementia in our generation and in the next. And it will be linked to AI. I guarantee it. Dementia, Alzheimer's, is the crystallization of your neural networks within your brain, the solidifying of your neural networks due to things we don't fully understand right now. But we do know that brain activity and using brain is good for stopping it. not a full cure, but keeping your brain active, doing things that make your brain work and think, help. Dementia is not Alzheimer's. That's why I said dementia and Alzheimer's, because they're different. But I'm telling you that there's going to be an increase of both in the next year because of these things. It's like, it's crazy, man. Like, just do things, learn things. You guys have like a library in your pocket. And you don't have to rely on a computer to give you an answer. Not a generative one. Look up things on Google and like look through it, not look at the AI overview and go, oh, okay. Okay. Sure thing, bro. We actually did this morning because, never mind. It's not relevant. Now that I think about it, it's not relevant. It will literally tell us it's, trust me, it has nothing to do with this. I don't know why I thought about it. Like, it's preposterous, dude. Like, it's baffling to me as a person who felt stupid their entire life through their education career, and then when they got the mental help and medication that they needed the whole time, finally felt capable. It is upsetting to me to see people who are extremely capable and always have been just be like, do everything for me. Thanks. I thirst to know things, dude. Like, I am so hungry to learn about shit. That's why I love watching this stuff, because even just learning about a case like this and thinking about it, talking about how I think it's probably going to be a cop, my brain, my wheels are turning. We haven't discussed it much on stream. There was a shooter in Idaho. There's a sniper who caused a wildfire in Idaho and was targeting firefighters. It's out there. Kind of crazy. When my wife brought this up, immediately my brain's thinking about, like, what the hell motivates that? If it's specifically firefighters, it has to be personal. No other reason you would go after specifically firefighters when paramedics and police respond and there are hikers in the mountain you started the wildfire within, right? So it has to be personally attached to firefighting. Either rejected as a job offer, wanted the job, didn't get it because of a reason that feels personal and a vendetta is made, or beefing from, like, a relationship problem with firefighters, either like sexually or etc. Like, there's so many reasons to drive that person to target specifically a firefighter. And, like, the way that I want to break it apart, like, makes me happy because I know that, like, I want to learn. It pisses me off. There are people on Twitter being like, at Grok, what's this about? It's 2 fucking sentences. Read. What are we doing? Click the fucking article and spend a minute reading it. You spend more time hitting reply, adding that stupid fucking slot machine, and going to your notifications and going, he hasn't replied yet. I don't know why. I thought this thing was supposed to be instant. I spent $10 for a check mark on this website, by the way. At Grok, why is Grok taking forever to give me my answer? He's still not responding, bro. Oh man, it's so insane. so crazy, man. Okay, we're gonna have to save this stuff for a different day because I went on a crazy tangent here. I hope people appreciate it and got something out of it or feel like they should make a change. I'm assuming I'm gonna put this on the end of the YouTube video. So I would love, I mean, I wouldn't love for a discussion in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be people being like, you just don't fucking get it, bro. I tell Grok to wipe my ass and he does it. It's so cool. Yeah, until you forget how to wipe your own butthole, dude. Chat GPT, can you get another role?